Welcome to the next episode of Podcastinate. In this episode, I'm going to talk about why you should always be yourself. Now, before we begin, I should mention that this podcast was sponsored by nobody, because this is for fun and I'm probably never going to monetize it. Anyways, let's begin. So, you must have asked yourself this question at some point in the past or even now. Is this something I really want to do? Do I really want to be me today? Because I mess up talking to people. Maybe the reason people don't like me around or the reason I don't have many friends is because of me. I should change. Well, that's the wrong answer, obviously. Until you have not done anything wrong, I don't see the reason to change yourself for someone. You're already better than the people who leave without notice. And maybe it has affected you before. A tiny part in your subconsciousness is still aware of this very fact that you have problems with people or being yourself. Have you heard these two words before? Social chameleon. People who are introverts by nature but pick up some social habits just to socialize with everyone. But believe me or not, we have all been a social chameleon at some point in our life. And some people really get weird trying to be someone else they are not. You don't want to be Ted from How I Met Your Mother trying to impress Robin in the second episode, throwing 3 parties back to back hoping she would show up, and then calling her up the next morning and saying, "Hey, ain't nothing but chicken wing, mamacita," and then end up saying, "Who am I?" Exactly, brother, who are you? Okay, continuing from before, we have feared that we are not likable to a social group being ourselves, because being ourselves has turned out to be very boring according to their reactions. And so you have adopted these social habits that stick to you to help you socialize with them. In the situations where you feel like you're being dull or boring, your personality trait jumps off the ledge, laughs it hard on their jokes, fist bumps on their every statements, and joins them on yelling phrases like, "Yo, brother," just to show them that you have a likable social side. Now, this phenomenon is called personality mirroring. You take notes of a person you want to talk to and mix up your way of talking and expressing as theirs. It goes as far as creating a personality just in front of that person and can change your overall personality altogether. Now, when you watch movies, web series or animes, and you love a character so darn much that you pick up some traits from them, maybe their accent or the unique hand gestures of greeting, that's personality mirroring too. But mirroring fictional characters implies adoration and affection towards them, while mirroring an actual person to like you implies that you're quite unsure of yourself as a person. You don't trust yourself to be you in front of someone, and somehow you have to adopt to this other personality to talk to them. And some people think if they are being themselves after weeks of acting like liking the other people's interests, they're going to hate the real them for doing that. Now, if you're picking up habits for your betterment, it's fine. You want to change for yourself. You shouldn't act like someone else just so that people will acknowledge you. That's how you attract wrong people in your life. I mean, if you're picking up habits for someone else, then where's the connection? The connection of a healthy friendship comes from being yourself and sharing your honest interests. And don't beat yourself up over someone who doesn't like you for being yourself. They have chose their friends and you will get to choose yours. And being someone else is definitely not the answer. It will invite more troubles for sure. Now, before I continue further, I have attached some bloopers for the podcast in the end. I record podcasts in segments. I write down the topics to cover and let the mic go on when I speak about them. When I'm done talking about the topic, I end the segment, I recollect my thoughts and start again. Makes it more convenient to record the whole podcast. Now, there are times when I mess up saying some of the raw thoughts that I have in my mind, and I've added those exact moments as bloopers in the end. And I don't know how it will sound, but let me know if you guys like the bloopers idea in my podcast. Continuing with the topic. A big part of being yourself is being able to say no. If you're true to your core values, you'll never say yes to something you don't want to do. When someone asks for your help and you agree to help them, but by each passing second you regret giving up your Sunday night for them, then that's only going to cause doubts about yourself. Yes, you were selfless, but at what cost? You know this had to happen. You know you would be giving up your weekend nights in order to help, but the guilt of missing out your own time transcends to the guilt of being there. Then what's the point of being here if you feel like you're missing out every second? You question yourself, I'm a nice person, but I cannot say no to someone. That's a major part of being yourself, which is to know yourself better. You should know when is the right time to offer help, when your work means more to you than finding the time to help someone. Yes, if you like helping out people with their business, that's good. But don't make that your business. Knowing yourself in order to be yourself establishes values and orders in life. You can deny someone something and are not bound to any label to be a pushover. You know what happened to the guy who always helped everyone? Well, I would ask him, but I think he's still busy helping someone else. I'm sorry to say this, but people who make up excuses to not go somewhere are better than people half-heartedly saying yes than showing up reluctantly. At least they follow their heart, even if they couldn't say yes and made up an excuse, but they didn't say no either. Now the next thing I want to include is boundary issues and personality drain out. Now when you're not being yourself and acting like someone else, you give people a false sense of your boundaries. For example, you're an introvert who likes to be in their room on weekends, and in order to get them to like you, you act like an extrovert in front of them and have fun and maintain this another personality. This causes personality drain out, which basically means you cannot wait to get home and recharge yourself and be yourself because you've been someone else in front of them, and that took a toll on your energy. Not only that, but on weekends your friends invite you to hang out or to go on a trip together because to them you're an extrovert who has maintained this personality of always having fun. Now this causes boundary issues because you really don't want to go out on weekends and you hate yourself for hanging out with them, and you're stuck in this loop of personality drain and boundary issues. Now the answer to all this is to be yourself, always. Maybe you have faced these issues in the past or facing them right now unconsciously and relate to them. But in all fairness, this trial and error has helped you grow. I mean, think about it. If you never had faced any boundary issues, you never would have learned to say no or respect your own time. Worrying about missing out and creating this another personality has made you realize to just be yourself and don't act differently around others, because honestly, it's tiring. Every one of us matures at one point, but the thing is, everyone is wired very differently. Your friend from a very young age can say that doing that particular thing is bad, but because you're naive at that time, you do it anyway, you regret it, come back to your friend and say, you know what, you were right. Well, it's not about every single thing. You don't have to burn your hand to know that fire is dangerous, right? Some things you know and some you don't. Always remember that you only get lessons about something you were unaware about. And that's something to think about. It helps you grow and ultimately be yourself, helps you build and establish your own identity, and helps you identify which of the things you like and which you don't. Knowing yourself builds courage. Now through a trial and error of trying out new things in order to know yourself better has made you slowly discover your interests and your weaknesses. After all, the measure of power is courage, right? And I think we have reached the end of the episode here. I have covered all the topics I wanted to for this episode. And like I have mentioned before, I have attached the bloopers in the end. So see you in the next episode. Good day. Now moving to the next segment. Did I just say segment? Now, being yourself builds courage. Courage to say courage. Now, the answer to all this, certainly I'm French. Hoping she would show up and then calling her the next morning to say, hey, ain't nothing but a chicken wing. Missing out every second. You question yourself, I'm a nice person, but I cannot say no to someone. That's a major part of being yourself, which is to know them better. What?
Hey, ain't no thing but a chicken wing.